morning. Thank you all for being here, and thanks to those who are joining us remotely. Although I'm looking around for the screens, I don't see them. In one of my first acts as Attorney General, I directed an expedited review to determine how the department could improve its efforts to combat hate crimes and hate incidents. Shortly thereafter, and 1 year ago today, President Biden signed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes and Jabara Hire No Hate Act into law. We are grateful to be joined today by members of Congress and their staffs who worked on this matter, and as well, we are very grateful to be and honored to be joined by members of the Jabara family and the Hire family. Thank you very much for being here. We really appreciate it. A week after the legislation became law, I issued a memorandum to all Justice Department employees laying out steps that we would take to improve our efforts to combat hate crimes and hate incidents. We had originally planned on hosting today's events to provide all of you, our colleagues, partners, and stakeholders with an update on our anti-hate efforts over the last year. We now gather in the wake of a horrific and painful reminder of the urgency and importance of this task. We will use every legal tool at our disposal to investigate and combat these kinds of hate crimes and their collateral impact that they have on the communities that they hurt. The department-wide directive that I issued last year benefited from the thoughtful input of external stakeholders and internal experts, including many of you who are here today. It outlined 4 areas of focus to improve our efforts to combat unlawful acts of hate: improving incident reporting, increasing law enforcement training and coordination at all levels, prioritizing community outreach, and making better use of our civil enforcement mechanisms. As I said at the time, each of these steps share the common goal of deterring hate crimes and hate incidents and addressing them when they occur, the pernicious effects that they have on our society. These are not easy tasks. We know the threats we face are evolving and that our strategies to confront them must evolve as well. Addressing them requires making total use of both our criminal and our non-criminal resources across the entire Justice Department. Our relevant investigating and prosecuting components, including the Civil Rights Division, U.S. Attorney's offices, the National Security Division, and the FBI, are hard at work maximizing their collective tools to prevent, deter, and respond to hate crimes and bias-motivated forms of extremism. I want to thank Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark, Director of the Executive Office for U.S. Attorneys Monty Wilkinson, Assistant Attorney General for National Security Matt Olson, and FBI Director Christopher Wray for their leadership and for their dedication to this work. In February of this year alone, the Justice Department convicted the 3 men who targeted and killed Ahmaud Arbery simply because he was a black man jogging on a public street. Our prosecutors convicted an individual who, motivated by racist and xenophobic beliefs about the COVID-19 pandemic, targeted and attacked an Asian family at a supermarket in Midland, Texas. And a federal court sentenced a man in Tennessee for setting fire to 4 separate churches in that state. These 3 results in 1 month represent just a small sample of the investigative and prosecutive efforts that the Justice Department is undertaking to confront hate crimes using our criminal enforcement mechanisms. But we recognize that in order to address the destructive effects that hate crimes and hate incidents have on entire communities, we must make better use of our non-criminal tools as well. Today, I want to announce 3 important steps we are taking that reflect our holistic approach. First, along with our partners at the Department of Health and Human Services, we are issuing new guidance aimed at raising awareness of hate crimes during the pandemic. This guidance includes several steps that community-based organizations, law enforcement, government officials, and others can take to raise awareness of hate crimes and hate incidents, and how that increased awareness can be used as a tool for prevention and response. This guidance focuses on both hate crimes and hate incidents and was created with the input of many community-based stakeholders and public health professionals. In just a moment, Deputy Secretary Palm will discuss this guidance further. Second, I am pleased to announce that the department has hired Ana Paula Noguez Mercado as our first ever full-time language access coordinator. Ana, please stand up. Thank you for joining the team. We know that language access is a major barrier to the reporting of hate crimes and hate incidents. Ana will join our Office of Access to Justice, where she will work to improve knowledge, use, and expansion of the department's language access resources. Third, I am pleased to announce that the department is releasing $10 million in grant solicitations for new programs to address hate crimes. $5 million of this grant funding was authorized under the Jabara Hire No Hate Act. These grants will support better hate crime reporting to the FBI and will fund states to establish and run reporting hotlines for victims of hate crimes. The other $5 million will go to supporting community-based approaches to preventing and addressing hate crimes. I want to thank Congress for providing the funding that allowed us to launch these grant programs. And I want to thank Amy Solomon and her team at the Office of Justice Programs for administering these important grants and putting these funds to good use. Confronting unlawful acts of hate is a matter of moral urgency for all of us here today, and it is a charge deeply rooted in the Justice Department's founding. As I have noted many times before, this department was founded in 1870 in the aftermath of the Civil War with the first fundamental purpose to fight the white supremacist attack on black civil rights after the Civil War. 152 years later, the task to combat hate-fueled violence remains central to the department's mission. We do this because it is our legal obligation, and we do this because it is our moral obligation. We do this work because we believe that all people in this country should be able to live without fear of being attacked or harassed because of where they are from, what they look like, whom they love, or how they worship. Thank you all for being here and for your tireless work and partnership. In a moment, you will hear from Deputy Secretary Palm from the Department of Health and Human Services. She will be followed by our Deputy and Associate Attorneys General, who will speak more specifically to the steps we have taken in the past year. Before that, however, we will play a short video featuring reflections from the family members 4 people who were killed by hate crimes, but whose legacies will have an enduring impact on combating hate crimes. Thank you to the families of Heather Heyer, of Khalid Jabara, and of Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. for your important words in this video. And thanks again to all of you who are here with us today.
Hate crimes have impacted our family in a way that we could never have even imagined. We miss Khaled every day. We miss the joy and the laughter that he brought to our family.
And Khaled was the talented one of the family, the handsome one of the family, the funny one of the family.
She was an ordinary person who took a courageous stand with others in the community just to show solidarity that their lives mattered. When hate came to our town and when hate came to say that their lives didn't matter, Heather stood there to say, yes, their lives do matter.
Outgoing, love his music, love to be with people, he was a people person, entertainer, piano, all-rounded person. And we love his family. And to see him the day before, we thought all was well with the world. You know, before I would see him more times with him, never knowing that day before that I would never see him again.
And what we've expressed in our lives with the loss of Matt has been just really hard and ongoing. It never gets easier, it just gets different.
Our family is so honored that there will be funding and resources available to communities to combat hate in Khaled and Heather's memory.
The Jabbar Hire No Hate Act bill that was signed last year, and then the programs that are coming out of the bill, it means a lot to our family. It means that we feel heard, we feel seen.
It means a lot to me to have Heather's name attached to this program, because this is a program that will offer actual support and take action in communities. It will allow them to focus at a grassroots level on beating hate in their own towns.
And we can also educate communities now. We can have community organizations, nonprofits work together with law enforcement to spread the word, spread awareness, and create a new level of trust. Level of trust is desperately needed.
And you develop a lot of that trust through the training programs. So the granting program will help, because it gives grants to educate the public, gives grants to educate and train law enforcement in identifying and investigating and defining what hate crimes are.
I admire all the people who worked so hard to get this bill passed, because now we see the numbers behind the crime, and then there's accountability behind that. And so I encourage all the advocates to continue to work hard and continue to pursue, because we're the voices now. All the victims, they can't speak right now. So we're their voices right now.
You know, we hope that through the hotlines, specifically, that communities, families who may be experiencing hate and bias motivated incidents have the resources that they need to feel comfortable reaching out and accessing resources and having somebody else say, you know, yes, this is wrong, this shouldn't be happening, here's where you need to go, here's what you can do. Because our family felt lost and didn't feel like we had those resources.
I think it's important that hate crimes are labeled as hate crimes so that you can get to the root of the problem.
It's so important that when a hate crime occurs, that we as a community, that we as a country name it a hate crime, that we come out early and we say what it is, because that allows for victims to feel heard and validated, and for communities to heal, but also to address the larger problem.
And so that gave us a sense of release that it's not going to be swept on the rug. This is something that's going to really happen, and we got people behind us in this. We're not alone. And sometimes communities can either divide a person or bring together. And that time, that's the community came together for us during that time. And so they gave us a light that we will, with the support of others, survive this trauma.
To have a bill named after Khaled and Heather Hire really feels like, you know, we're working towards something, and it feels hopeful to us.
Morning. It's hard to follow that video. I'm Not going to lie. Thank you, Attorney General, for hosting us here today and bringing us together to really mark this important event. On behalf of Secretary Becerra and our colleagues at the Department of Health and Human Services, it really is my pleasure and honor to join you in commemorating the one-year anniversary of the signing of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act. I also want to acknowledge, as the Attorney General did, the representatives of Mr. Khalid Jabara and Ms. Heather Heyer's families who are with us here today. We've recognized them. But again, thank you so much for your efforts in the passage of this law and to the incorporation of the COVID Hate Crimes Act into the legislation. The Jabara-Heyer No Hate Act will help us address the underreporting of hate crimes and improve police response to hate crimes. We've seen that hate can do what it can do if it remains unchecked. We saw it last year in the fatal shootings of 8 people, including 6 Asian women in the Atlanta metro area. We saw it last Saturday when 10 Black Americans were murdered in Buffalo. And we saw it once again in the deadly attack on Taiwanese church parishioners in Laguna Woods, California, 1 day later. While we can't change the past, we can honor victims' memories by working to prevent more suffering moving forward, and that is what today is about. Last year, when President Biden signed the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act into law, he left no doubt that we stand together as a nation to fight hate and racism. Because hate doesn't just kill, it leaves scars on individuals, on entire communities, not only in the immediate aftermath, but sometimes through generations. And it's not just a matter of law enforcement, it is a matter of public health. That is why on today's anniversary of the signing of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, DOJ and HHS are releasing joint guidance that the Attorney General referenced to help our communities raise awareness about hate crimes that have occurred throughout the time of this pandemic. The guidance is based on the expertise and experiences of DOJ and HHS, a review of the available resources about the rise of hate crimes and hate incidents, the input of the COVID-19 Health Equity Task Force, and this guidance is highly informed by community input. Communities shared and we listened. Through the joint guidance, DOJ and HHS aim not only to raise awareness about hate crimes and hate incidents, but also to propel action, response, and prevention to really address this urgent crisis. In it, we provide 11 recommended methods to better address hate crimes and hate incidents, and I will highlight just a couple. We focus a lot on engaging healthcare providers, clinics, health systems, and others in the healthcare community to really address hate crimes and hate incidents. We prioritize cultural competence and language access so that we can address unlawful acts of hate as well as xenophobia stemming from this public health crisis. And as the Attorney General also mentioned, we really prioritize community outreach and engagement in this guidance. Through our actions, we can both prevent and respond to acts of hate, and we can empower law enforcement, government officials, public health systems, and community-based organizations to protect and support communities most frequently impacted. In all, the guidance is an important tool to prevent and respond to hate crimes and hate incidents. Beyond this guidance, I can tell you that at HHS, we are committed to doing our part to protect the health and well-being of all communities from bias. Since the COVID-19 pandemic began, we've launched campaigns to advance vaccine equity. We've launched an Equity Technical Assistance Center at HHS to provide training, tools, to do equity assessments that really focus on the way we make policy, the way we deliver programs, the way we do our research and analysis at HHS, so that we as an institution, as an organization, are more equitable moving forward. And through the White House Initiative on Asian Americans, Native Hawaiians, and Pacific Islanders, which is housed within HHS, we're working every day to address the immediate impacts of the pandemic on AA and HPI communities, from the rise in anti-Asian hate crimes to the health and economic disparities that have been exacerbated over the last couple of years. We are committed to continue building on this work, and we are grateful to have stalwart partners in this efforts. In closing, I really do want to thank our partners. I want to recognize also Senator Hirono, author of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act, Congressman Don Beyer, Congressman Mark Tacono, and Congressman Andy Kim, who I think are also here with us today. Again, my appreciation to the Attorney General, to Deputy Attorney General Monaco, Associate Attorney General Gupta, who have all been such tremendous partners to us in this effort and in a variety of others that we have undertaken as part of this administration, and of course to our community partners across the nation who are really critical to driving this work and helping us embed it in communities moving forward. So today we have a chance really to chart a new course to fight hate in all forms. And to everyone who's watching, please, we invite you to join us. We will never learn to live with hate, and we will never stop working until we eradicate hate from our communities. So now I would like to turn it over to the Deputy Attorney General, Lisa Monaco, for a few additional remarks. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you so much, Andrea. I want to add my thanks and my welcome to our distinguished guests, members of Congress, our partners from the civil rights and law enforcement and public health communities, and especially to the families of Heather Heyer and Khalid Jabara. Thank you all for gathering today to commemorate the one-year anniversary of President Biden's signing of the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act and the Jabara Heyer No Hate Act. Ensuring the rule of law and making real the promise of equal justice are the principles upon which the Department of Justice was founded. And these are the principles that are the department's North Star. No one in America should fear violence because of who they are. The department will not tolerate any form of terrorism, hate-based violence, or unlawful discrimination. To live up to and to live by these principles, the Attorney General has charged us to pursue a whole-of-department approach to combating hate crimes and bias-related incidents, from education and sharing best practices to grant-making to how we work to prevent, respond to, investigate, and prosecute hate crimes. As the Attorney General said, we will use every tool and legal authority at our disposal to combat hate crimes and bias-related and bias-motivated extremism. And when the unimaginable happens, as it did last Saturday in Buffalo, we will bring every resource to bear to respond and to seek justice. We are committed to drawing on the full resources of the department and the expertise across all of its components. The communities we serve deserve no less. Earlier this week, the Attorney General and I and the Associate Attorney General, as well as the leaders from the FBI, the ATF, the National Security Division, the Civil Rights Division, we all gathered with the U.S. Attorney community from across the country. And we gathered to discuss the horror that happened in Buffalo. And we gathered to discuss how we respond as one Department of Justice. The Civil Rights Division, of course, has deep expertise in investigating hate crimes and responding to these horrific incidents in tandem with our state and local partners. Sadly, though, the muscle memory for these responses is now well established. The National Security Division provides leadership on responding to domestic terrorism and is working in lockstep with the Civil Rights Division when hate crimes and bias-motivated extremism rear their profoundly ugly heads. The FBI's investigators and victim services and forensics experts all immediately launch in partnership with state and local and community experts. And of course, the Community Relations Service plays a crucial role working with our community partners as the department's peacekeepers. In the years since the Attorney General's memorandum on improving our efforts to combat hate crimes and hate incidents, the department has taken a number of significant steps. We've established an expediter within the criminal section of the Civil Rights Division to ensure rapid review of hate crimes incidents. The FBI has launched a national anti-hate crimes campaign, including 56 field offices, to encourage reporting. Every U.S. Attorney's Office across the country has designated civil rights coordinators in their offices to enhance our enforcement of civil rights laws. We have also piloted a new outreach training called the United Against Hate effort to help improve the reporting of hate crimes by training community members and providing an opportunity for trust building between law enforcement and the communities that we serve. The horrific events from last weekend are a stark reminder of the devastating effect and impact of hate crimes on entire communities. The steps that we've outlined today and the more to come reflect a firm belief here in the department amongst this leadership team that it is our collective responsibility to do all we can to confront hate in all its forms. We are committed to doing just that. And now I'm pleased to introduce the Associate Attorney General, Vanita Gupta.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning to everyone. And thank you all for joining us today. I look out and I see everyone is playing a role, whether from law enforcement, community groups, members of Congress that gave us additional tools to do what we can during this moment of great concern around the resurgent hate crimes, victim services, and parts of the department that are really hard at work, working 365 days of the year to ensure that we are doing all that we can to combat hate and honor our shared humanity. I want to especially obviously recognize the members of Congress and Senator Hirono, Representative Beyer, Representative Kim, Representative Takano. The tools that you gave us with the COVID-19 Hate Crimes Act and the Jabara Hire No Hate Act are incredibly important to allowing us to try to do all we can to meet this moment. Advocates like Susan Bro and the Jabara family, civil rights community leaders that have been hard at work on these issues for quite some time, thank you for everything you are doing to make this nation's promise of justice and equality under the law more real for more Americans. As the Deputy Attorney General discussed, we use our criminal enforcement authority to prosecute those who commit hate crimes. But we also know it is not enough to wait until a hate crime occurs. We have to address hate well before it escalates into violence. The department uses all of its tools to combat hate and mediate conflict to ensure that communities feel safe and feel protected. We have seen too much hate in the last year and a rise in it, and we must do all that we can to use all of the tools at our disposal at the Justice Department to address this need. Many acts of hate are unlawful under civil anti-discrimination laws, and the department vigorously enforces those civil rights laws to ensure that people are free from harassment in schools, employment, housing, public accommodations, and elsewhere. Here, the work of the Civil Rights Division is vitally important, and I want to thank Kristen Clark for her leadership in this regard. For example, in October of 2021, the Civil Rights Division and the United States Attorney's Office for Utah announced a settlement agreement with a school district to address widespread racial discrimination in the district's schools, including serious and widespread racial harassment of Black and Asian American students by both staff and students. Another critical tool is one that the Attorney General and the Deputy have mentioned, the department's Community Relations Service, which has been revitalized under Attorney General Garland's leadership. CRS provides facilitated dialogue, mediation, training, and consultation services to help de-escalate tensions and help unite communities that are facing bias-related conflict. Today, I'm very pleased to welcome into the DOJ family, or actually welcome back, newly Senate confirmed Director of CRS, Paul Montero. Paul, will you please stand? Paul brings with him extensive experience to this job, having been acting director for CRS during the Obama administration, and we're so grateful that he is back in the DOJ family. The department also seeks to develop resources that can help empower communities targeted by hate and that provide effective strategies that the department, government officials, and law enforcement can use to engage with and serve those communities. Under the Attorney General's directive, I designated one of my deputies, Rachel Rossi, who is here today, as the department's first ever hate crimes resources coordinator to help develop those resources. Rachel's done an extraordinary job working with community-based and advocacy groups and the U.S. Attorney's offices across the country to create and centralize the department's anti-crime, hate crime, and incident resources. Yesterday, Rachel was announced as our new director of the Office of Access to Justice, and I'm grateful that she is going to be taking on that role, and pleased to announce that Saeed Modi will be taking on the new role. He's a longtime veteran prosecutor in the Civil Rights Division. He's joined my office and will soon assume this coordinator role. Of course, these resources are not useful if they can't be accessed by the communities most vulnerable and in need. And that's why the department has focused on translating the resources that are most relevant to communities impacted by hate. For example, translating the Civil Rights Division's online reporting portal into 24 languages, including 18 of the most frequently spoken AAPI languages in the United States. But translation is not enough, and we've sought to increase cultural competency both within the department and among our state, local, tribal, territorial partners through training and other resources. How we engage communities that are impacted by hate crimes can be crucial to establishing a lasting relationship of trust. And we're so pleased that Anna will be leading these language access efforts. Finally, we use grants to fund a diverse array of programs to help prevent hate crimes and serve communities impacted by hate. The Attorney General thanked Amy Solomon. I want to acknowledge Chris Rose as well for the Office of Victims of Crime that has funding to support victims in the aftermath of a hate crime. The Attorney General highlighted the new Jabara Hire No Hate Act and the community-based grant programs, which will complement several other important grant programs, including the Matthew Shepard James Burr Jr. Hate Crimes Program, that fund programs for hate crimes victim services, protection for houses of worship, trainings for law enforcement to investigate and prosecute hate crimes, and much more. The horrific events of this past week are painful reminders of the hard work that we have left to do. And we in the department stand with all of you in our shared commitment to build a more perfect, more just, and a more equal union. Thank you, and I'm going to now pass back to the Attorney General.
So as most of you know, this event was long planned. We did not need any more reminders of the urgency of our fight against hate and racially motivated violent extremism. Unfortunately, we are gathered today in the shadow and the wake of another horrific attack. If it's possible to even further redouble our efforts, something like this can only cause us to do so. We commit to using every resource of the Department of Justice to prevent these kinds of acts of hate, to hold accountable those who commit them, and to support the communities that are damaged and terrorized by them. That is our job, and thanks to all of you, we have great partners in this effort. I want to say today is a beautiful day, and all of you are here, and we would be grateful if you'd think about mingling with each other in the courtyard when you step down onto the first floor. It's a nice day and a nice chance for all of the supporters of anti-hate to get together, see each other, and talk to each other. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming.